years ago, through a good friend who leases hunting land about an hour northwest of Del Rio, Texas, I was invited to share in the hunt for completely wild, free-ranging species which are non-native to Texas. This is a pretty fancy Polaris you've got here.
Thank you,
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, we just picked it up. Limited edition, kind of tricked out, you know.
Well, I'm excited about this. Sometimes referred to as exotic game species, all were either introduced by the Texas DNR or once upon a time escaped from game farms located elsewhere in the state. I've never seen any of the animals that you're talking about that run wild in this part of Texas.
Right.
And there's a lot of people in the country don't even know that this whole section of Texas, there's tons of it.
Heck yeah.
This hunt goes on year-round, and with a license, you're entitled to an unlimited amount of non-native species.
It's midday almost, so we'll go see if we can't find some fresh sign and maybe set up a blind. And
Okay.
I invited Babe down to hunt out here in Loma Alta. We have an abundance of different species of exotics. We got a 10,000 acre ranch here that is full of Aoudad, Axis, Sika, Mouflon rounds, Barbados rounds, just a abundance of animals to hunt.
That one group of Audads, you said there's like 20 or so in it. There's 3 shooters in there.
Yeah, there's 3 billies.
I went there for one animal and one animal alone. Barbary sheep, or an animal they call here, Aoudad. Couldn't be more excited. Anytime you get a chance to hunt things you've never hunted before. I mean, that's exciting. It was truly amazing to see so many different types of free-ranging game coming into view during this very unique Texas hunt. After watching them up close and having a rare opportunity to harvest not 1, but 2 Aoudad sheep, I discovered yet another new species that captures my imagination and has found a special place in my heart. It was such a unique hunt that I wanted to share the experience with my daughter Carly, so last fall we went back. This time around, though, we added Texas whitetails to our wish list. Now, not necessarily in the order that all our hunts went down, today's show will focus purely on the bucks that Carly and I both chose to go after with our crossbows. First morning in Texas, God knows what we're gonna see.
It's the first morning in Texas, and I've never, ever been to Texas. And he said that there was like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 different types of animals that we could see. And I've never seen any of them except for a white-tailed deer. So we're out here in this permanent ground blind, and the first thing we saw this morning was a decent buck, which was, that doesn't happen to me. I don't get that lucky.
The whitetail out here are, they'll fool you. Their body size is not quite as big as they look when they come in, so you can have what looks to be a 150-inch whitetail. When you get him on the ground, he does good to make 125 inches.
Well, it was a successful morning. We saw a lot of deer and a lot of doves and a lot of cardinals, but nothing worth shooting, so we're just gonna have to try again tonight.
A 130-inch deer out here is a giant, and it's just, I don't know, this country, this rougher country, they're just smaller bodied. They have some nice racks, but you're just not gonna come out here and find a big 200-inch whitetail run around this country.
Texas deer. This is the first time I've ever saw them before, and they're so pretty.
It's a lot of whitetails, a lot of fun. It's just a ton of animals everywhere, so it's a fun place to come hunt.
We saw a big, well, not a big buck, but like a decent buck. It was like a 9-point, and that was the first thing we saw this morning. And then it had 2 does with it.
We had cardinals and white-winged doves. And
our buck was cool looking. Like he was like this high, like really high. Like he just went up and like went straight up.
But he wasn't real wide.
No, but he was still really cool to see, have that be like, it was within like 20 minutes from when we sat down that he came in.
I need a hunt for luck. Continuing down in Texas, where both Carly and I have been after whitetail bucks, let's carry on with the rest of the highlights from her hunt.
This is real rough country out here. It's real mountainous terrain for Texas anyway. And the way we hunt these animals are out of ground blinds, get on, heavily used trails. If you can find some type of feed they're hitting, some grass or anything like that, you try to set up on something like that.
When we were driving out here, we just pulled up to the stand and there was a deer standing there. And it was just a little buck, but we got within like 40, 50 yards from him and he just stood there and looked at us and finally ran off. So I'm taking that as a good sign that tonight's gonna be a good night.
Just real rough country, beautiful place out here. It's not just flat ground. I think that's what we like about it. And it's just a fun place to come hunt and shoot a bunch of critters.
It's day 2 and we're out here in a completely different spot. We can see a lot better. There's a lot more places for the animals to come out of, so they're not just all of a sudden in our face. And we're way far away from everything else that we've been to already. So I'm really excited to see what we see.
When Dad said Texas, I had no idea what to think. I mean, when you think of Texas, you think of horses and ranchers and like the desert, but it's not like that at all. It's rugged. I mean, it's a different experience from the mountains or like Minnesota with pine trees and stuff. It's been a new experience. It's been interesting and different, but it's certainly been enjoyable. It was a pretty good night. We saw a ton of deer, but it was one of the best nights we've had so far, so it's exciting.
It's day 3 and Marty put us in a line that they call the zoo.
Marty told us that we were going to go up to the zoo, and so I was kind of excited because the zoo sounds something new, something exciting, and he said that that's where they see stuff like every single animal he has on the ranch here is seen at the zoo, and it's almost 100% success rate. So when I heard that that's where we were lucky enough to go, I was pretty pumped.
Our morning was pretty good when we first got here, but now that the wind's picked up, we decided to head out and then pick it up a little bit later.
So we're back here at the zoo stand, and everybody seems to think really highly of the stand, and the wind's died down, so we're hoping that's going to have the animals moving a little bit more. And Marty was out today looking around, and he said the deer are already moving, so we tried to get out here a little bit earlier. And I guess we're going to see what we're going to see. I've never really hunted during the rut before, so being down here and seeing what the deer were doing was a completely new thing to me. I mean, that buck walked right in front of our blind, grunt, 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 and I was like, wow, was that a pig? Was that your stomach? And it was definitely the buck. And to see him chasing around the doe, I mean, it looks like they're playing tag. It looks like they're just having a good time, but obviously there's a little bit more meaning to it. But it's really cool to watch. It keeps you entertained.
We got a really cool show from a whitetail buck and a doe. They're obviously still in rut because he's been playing tag with them. It's really cool to watch. Oh, there's a big buck out there.
When I looked over and saw the whitetail, all I could see was like horns. I mean, his body was there, but it was just his rack. And he walked out in front of the blind, and I'm trying to like shuffle and get all my stuff together.
He's much bigger than any other buck we saw.
And I got the crosshairs on him, and I didn't really have a lot of time to think besides I knew this was going to be a good buck.
Take him. I don't think I've ever been to a zoo and had this much fun, that's for sure. This is crazy. I love Texas. Wow.
At first when I shot him, I didn't know if I thought I made a really good shot, because when I was little, Dad would always say, you know, if you shoot him and you double lung him, he does like a bronco kick like bulls do. And he did that, so I was like, oh, I made a good shot. And then we reviewed the film and I was like, ooh, I don't know, but it looks like a long shot, so I'm pretty confident I killed him, but I don't know. I mean, there's good blood that we're following, so hopefully he'll be laying up here somewhere.
Oh, there he is. He's just up here. It looks like he bedded down. So this is actually a super good buck for Texas, because usually all the bucks here are like 2, maybe 3 times smaller than the bucks we have up in Minnesota. So the rack on him, the size of his body, all of it is just, this is a really good buck. I'm really glad he ended up coming in and we stayed there. This is a really good buck. I'm really glad he ended up coming in and we stayed there.
All right, that's one nice buck for the kid. Now, hopefully it's my turn to taste the flavor of success.
Stuff is so thick in places. It's amazing the hogs can even get through it. Or the deer for that matter. This stand here, a lot of times there's a big valley here. You can see the hill over here and behind us. And a lot of times this valley, the access deer, come down through here. But could be pigs, could be whitetail, could be all of the above. And I hope the heck it is, because we've had enough sets already where we haven't seen anything. I haven't even taken my crossbow off of safety yet. And I am ready to put this thing to use. I'm so ready, you don't know. Those are not whitetails.
We have 10,000 acres out here in West Texas that is free range country, just big country, thousands of acres, any direction you look, no houses. I mean, it's just a big, desolate country out here. Of course, you got your whitetails and tons of hogs and axis deer. You'll see a little bit of everything when you're out here. It's just a really neat place to bring the family and come do a lot of shooting.
Where did you come from, big boy? Whitetail buck just come running in. I got a couple of does. You're gonna circle around through the trees, aren't you? Sure as can be. Nice buck. Come on in here, big boy. Just keep on coming. You gotta give me a shot. I think I hit him good. He was facing me. I almost spined him. 'Cause he had his head down. I think I could have just whacked him right there, but then he turned. And just as he started to turn, I believe I lunged him good. It's a pretty nice buck for a Texas buck. It's always a good sign. Totally took one of my fletchings off. I didn't think he'd be very far. Nice buck. 3.5-year-old buck. Texas deer are so much smaller than what I'm used to. But he's a beauty. And he's mine. Texas hill country buck. Love him.
Wow, what a fantastic adventure Carly and I had in Texas last fall, and you haven't even seen the half of it yet. Taking on the challenge of harvesting our animals with crossbows, we both felt so fortunate for the whitetail bucks that graciously came our way. But be sure to join us again next week for the thrilling encounters we had with aoudad and massive wild boar. These are most definitely not your average everyday kind of hunts, and I'd really hate for you all to miss some of the coolest big game hunting you'll ever see. Now, if you have an interest in hunting where Carly and I did, although Marty Davis is not an outfitter, he did agree to offer a few select hunts on a first-come, first-served basis to our viewers to help offset the cost of his lease. All I can say is if you can possibly swing it, you'll find the hunting out of this world, and I couldn't recommend it more. Mr. Marty is a special guy.
So overall, I mean, this morning, I don't think could have gotten any better.
So, whitetail deer hunting at the opposite end of the United States from where we live here in Minnesota. Truly, the whitetail's range is as broad as the reason so many of us love to hunt them. And true, deer are deer wherever they live, but it's always a unique challenge hunting them by new methods and in differing habitats. I'm Babe Winkelman. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, everybody, hey, good hunting.